JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 14th of December 2022. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then also just before we jump into the charts, as always a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our jfdbrokers.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us, guys. So now then, let's jump into the charts. So the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225, and look, we had a fantastic move here to the upside. Everything's in line with the idea that I talked about this week and recently, and basically, yeah, what I said was that as long as we remain above that 21-day EMA, I'm going to continue aiming to the upside. Look, in general, of course, it's very sentimental and very moody in terms of like where it's going to go. It seems like it's just kind of following, you know, whatever the US does and kind of Nikkei does most of the time. I'm not saying it all the time, but like most of the time. So yesterday we had a bit of a positive day here well, we had a positive day in the US, but and we saw the kind of Nikkei doing a similar thing, also kind of doing, you know, having a positive moment today. The question is, of course, how will this go further? Now, in normal circumstances, I would say yes. I would, as long as we stay above that 21-day EMA, I will continue aiming to the upside. However, today is not a normal day. Again, yesterday we didn't have a normal day. I mean, we had some data coming out from the U.S. So you have the CPI numbers that came out lower than expected. So now it's going to be interesting to see how the Fed will react today, because today we have the interest rate decision from the Fed. Now, the current forecast, of course, is an increase, a 50 basis point increase. Now, it seems like most likely that the Fed might stick to that. However, surprises might happen. So, you know, and it's the last kind of interest rate announcement this year. So, you know, brace yourselves maybe for a bit of a roller coaster ride. But if you're not really comfortable with trading those, then just kind of, you know, stand aside and wait until the market settles, and then you can go in. But at this point, I would say, look, with Nikkei overall here, I would say, yes, I'm leaning more towards the upside as long as we stay above the 21-day EMA. If we start falling below it, I'll aim for the 100 and the 200-day EMAs, and then so on. And then the same analysis is valid, as I've mentioned it yesterday. Shanghai Composite. This one's a little bit different, and look, I mean, it's currently resting on that 3,171 territory. I spoke about that level, if you remember, this in the beginning of this week, and I said that, hey, this is something to keep an eye on, and so far, well, it's doing a good job. This inside swing high of the 2nd of December is doing a good job, and well, if we remain above it, then yes, we could see a reversal here back to the upside and a push higher towards that 200-day EMA, and if that gets cleared, well, that's where it could become a little bit more interesting for a few more buyers. For the downside, a break of this upside line is needed. And in general, from the very short-term perspective, of course, the drop below the 3,171 territory might do the trick for a few more sellers here to drag it towards the remaining EMAs, the 100 and the 21-day EMA. ASX 200 very quickly, again, yeah, also had a positive moment here, pushed higher. Look, I said before that I need, for the downside, I need to see a drop somewhere below this 7,147 territory, approximately around there. For the upside, I need to see a push above the 7,269. Simple as that. These are my level, and as long as this remains in here, I will just continue observing the price action. Nasdaq, there we go. So, Nasdaq, beautiful move. Look at this, guys. I mean, this is spectacular. I talked about this yesterday in the beginning of this week. Look, I said it's broad. It could be a broadening triangle, and well, it is. It so far it is, and great. That's really great. And I said that if we pop above this 100-day EMA, which was around this 11,860, then we could go higher towards the upper side. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. But the interesting thing here is that we have drifted back to the downside. So the market is kind of really trying to understand how to react and what to do further, because hey, good moment here. Yes, we had a good up move. Can we see another up move here, a stronger up move? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But at the moment, the cash index is sitting around 11,862. So basically, basically around near this 100-day EMA. So just maybe slightly above it. So, okay. At this point, to be honest, I think that given that I have already kind of reached my target here, because what I said that if we pop above the 100-day EMA, I'll aim for this upper side of the broadening triangle. We reached that. Now what's next? Well, if you want to go higher, then probably the easier option is to kind of keep an eye on the, actually not even on this highlighted territory. I think I need to adjust this. I think it's no longer valid here. I think I'll reuse it around here somewhere. There we go. There we go. So I'll keep this one as my potential target if we break the upper side of the broadening triangle pattern. But for the kind of more from the shorter term perspective, I'll keep an eye on this 11,166. This is the high of yesterday. If we push through it and push through the upper side of the broadening triangle, then yes, I'll go higher. Now, for the downside, look, previously I talked about this scenario, but I think that now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this idea and look, I'm going to keep an eye on this 100-day EMA and the 21-day EMA. I'll stick to some lines instead of the levels here. So instead, so some moving averages instead of the levels. So again, also ideally, I mean, look, I mean, if you are looking for a level, then maybe something around here could work, this 11,707. But look, I mean, if we already start falling below this 100-day EMA and stay below it, then yes, there is a potential for this one to move a little bit lower. From the shorter term perspective, look, this is where I'm going to complicate your brain a little bit. From the shorter term perspective, we could have something here. Right there, guys. So basically, this upside line, this one that I've just drawn here from the low, the 4th of November, could be nice, could be good to use, because if we break it, we break the 21-day EMA as well, and kind of, more sellers could join in, and maybe this could be seen as a bit more confirmation. However, look, I will start looking at some lower levels if we do fall back below this 11. Actually, let me just double check here very quickly. 11,850. 50. Yeah, 11,850. This is what my chart right now is showing, where my 100-day EMA is. So, okay, that's even maybe better. So 11,850. This is where my current 100-day EMA is, shown as the green line. So if we fall below it, I'll aim kind of a little bit more to the downside, but I'll keep an eye on this scenario, of course, this upside line, and then we'll take it from there. If we break it, further declines are possible. The S&P 500, so beautiful push as well. Look at this. I mean, we popped higher, and I would say almost reached my target. Look, I mean, I was kind of aiming for that 4,119, but hey, that's fine. We reached the current highest point of December, and I think, let me just double check if we pierce it through. This is the high 410096, and this one is 410. Yeah, we did just fractionally pierced through yesterday through the. So now this is the highest point of December. So the current highest point of December. So okay, so the 4,100. Let's round it up to 1. 4,101 is the new high kind of for December, and if we clear it, great, I'll go higher. If we struggle to clear it, well, guys, then maybe, maybe a bit of a drift back down could be possible. Now, one thing I want to see if this is not going to end up being is something of a range right here. So I hope this is not going to be the case, but hey, at the moment we have to examine all the possibilities. So let's say if it is a range, then probably the easiest option right now is to just wait for a break through the upper side of this range and then go higher. If we struggle with that, guys, then well, keep your eyes on this hurdle, this 3,912. And by the way, if you remember, I kept on talking from the beginning of this week about the possible kind of complex head and shoulders pattern. Well, it might not be the head and shoulders pattern, so there we go, because we violated this area. I said to you that if we violate this area, then I'll go higher here towards the head. Then probably no, it's not the complex head and shoulders pattern, unless it's going to be a double head here. But this is where already. Let's probably at this point now. Let's wait and see. Let's if it does happen, great. We'll take action then. If it doesn't, hey, at the moment I'm going to class it as a range. I think that's going to be the safest option. So let's see how this is going to play out. Yeah, the German index, DAX. Look at this spike here. Popped higher nicely, boom, above this 14,571 territory, but there we go, we drifted back down. It fell back down and continues to trade here below this barrier. I think the Fibonacci might go. I think it's time for it to remove. I'll remember that this basically high here, the highest point of August, is the 23.6% retracement on the Fibonacci here. But hey, look, at the moment, look, if you're looking for some higher levels, then certainly wait for another push above this 14,571 territory, approximately around here, and then we could go slowly to the upside for the downside. Now this is where I will stick to the 21-day EMA and this 14,200 level, approximately around here. A nice good drop below this this territory here may open a door towards that 23.6% retracement on the Fibonacci, and maybe even towards that 200-day EMA. But hey, let's not rush into anything. Let's today, like I said, be very careful in terms of European data today. Let me just very quickly check. Yeah, okay, we had the British data coming out, so that we got the PPI numbers from Britain and also the inflation numbers from Britain. There we go. So those declined as well, but I'll get to the pound in a bit. Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting to see what's happening there. But yeah, inflation fell as well, which is, to be honest, quite logical, because the peak of inflation, I think we already passed it like a few months ago, and now we're just in decline. And just remember this, guys, I mean, it's always a lag. I mean, there's no rational expectations among people, so it always takes a bit of time. So normally if something happens, it takes half a year for people to realize that. So that's why the inflation has already peaked a while ago. So we're now, I think, we're going to be on the decline. We're now going to be, I think the problem will be the deflation. I think well, it's always the case like that, to be honest. It's always like this. Either it's inflation, either it's deflation. We're never in an equilibrium. So, well, however, unfortunately, that's life. Anyway, look, in here, I would say with the German index, if we do drop below this 14,200, then yes, I'll go to the downside. In terms of other economic data from Europe, industrial production from the Eurozone, that's what's coming out, so keep that in mind. And yeah, another piece of information that's coming out, and I will pick up on that a little bit, I think, later. Oh, actually, I think I forgot to include this this pair. Just bear with me one moment, guys. Just let me find it very quickly here, because this is what I wanted to pick up, and I picked up the other one as well. But anyway, that's fine. Euros against the South African rand. Anyway, DXY dollar index. Yeah, there we go. Another thing that we're going to be watching tonight. So DXY dropped below this 104.11. Okay, so that's great. Bearish indication. What's next? Well, as I said before, if we drop and stay below the 104.11, I'll go further south. Well, I'm going to stick to that plan unless something changes during the Fed. So, but at the moment, at this point, I am leaning more towards the downside. Gold, fantastic pop here. Look at this. Upper side of the rising channel got tested. Great. Everything's working out here. I would say, I have to admit, not exactly. Eventually did work out. However, not the way I would really like it to, to happen. But hey, I cannot get everything, I think, and I think it's yeah, because what I was saying, that if we stay above this 1786 territory, somewhere around here, then we could see that, move to the upside. We did get that move to the upside eventually, but just after rebounding from this territory a little bit lower here. But okay, well, it's part of the game here. So, but it was a good result here. Great. Now what's next? To be honest, I'm going to leave it here. The fact that we are trading above this 1808 level, which is the highest point of August, that's good indication for the bulls. I think that we could see more upside, and I think that we could see a further move towards north, towards the upper side again of this rising channel, and then we will just take it from there. If we start falling, and this is where I need to adjust this, I think, in terms of the downside, if we start falling somewhere below this little territory, this 1797 zone, I will consider a bit of a move here to the downside. Let me just grab this arrow, something like that. US oil, WTI oil. So this one, yeah, this one pushed higher. Okay, that's great. We're back to the 76.28. I talked about this level here. I said that if we're going to stay below the 73.62, I said that, yeah, we could go lower. However, my preferred scenario is to wait for a drop below the 70 zone here, and then, this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and potentially more sellers here could join in. As long as it remains below this downside line but above this 70 territory, I'm just observing the price action, because for the upside, I need to see a break of this downside line. ETC USD very quickly. So beautiful rebound. Great. Look at this. I mean, I talked about this yesterday, and well, so far so good. So okay, we're testing now that 21-day EMA. Can we break that? If we can stay above it as well, then yes, I'll go towards my 100-day EMA or even the 200-day EMA. For the downside, pretty straightforward. A drop below this 18 territory is required, because at the same time, we would break this upside line taken from the low, the 18th of June. AUD USD jumping into a few pairs very quickly, guys. So there we go, popped. I talked about this one yesterday, and look at this beautiful thing. I said that if we pop above this 0.68 territory, then yes, I'll go higher, but then I'll aim for the 200-day EMA. If that gets cleared and we stay above it, great. My next target is the 0.6916. I'm going to stick to that rule. As long as we stay above this 200-day EMA, yes, I'm going to aim for that 0.6916 level marked by the high of the 13th of September. Or, in other words, I think that's the highest point of, yep, that's the highest point of September. AUD GPY, this one's a little bit tricky. I mean, as you can see yourselves, we did push above this downside line, and I talked about this, and I said that if we climb and stay above it, above this downside line, great, I'll go higher. But we did climb initially, but we failed to stay above it. So, it's not that clear yet, and I wouldn't say that I'm very bearish, no, and I cannot say that I'm very bullish, no. So at the moment, I would say I'm waiting for that clear indication. So I need to see a nice good move above this downside line again in order to go higher, and then I'll aim for, well, this 93.85 level actually is a little bit kind of tentative, I would say here, because eventually my target is the 95.74. Here I'm just trying to find something, but I think, oh, there we go. This is an interesting one right here, the 93.16. So I think that it's easier to actually keep an eye on that level instead, the 93.62, 93.16. So this is the level that I'm gonna keep an eye on. If we pop above it, great. I'll go higher. I'll aim higher, and if we stay especially above it as well. So yeah, at the moment, that's the simple game here. For the downside, I would need to see a drop. Well, although I get it, this is a little bit way too far here. We are forming a descending triangle, so according to all the TA rules, such patterns tends to break to the downside, but we need that confirmation break here first, below this 90.85, somewhere around here, in order to go lower. So if you are willing to, you want to trade something inside here, then I would say a drop below the 92.15 territory would be required. AUDCHF, now this one's interesting. We rebounded from the lower side of the range. We're currently in the range. So the same analysis is valid. In order to consider the next short-term directional move, a break through one of the sides of the range here is needed. NZDCHF, very quickly on that one. This one's also a bit of a roller coaster, and this 200-day EMA is like a magnet, honestly. It's like a magnet, and it continues to kind of, we move above it, but then we quickly come back down. We move below it, we quickly go up. So look, at this point, I think that maybe this upside line, I think will have to go and no longer needed. In general, I think what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to remove all the drawings and start fresh. So first of all, I want to draw a trend line. This is something that is on the chart still. I mean, this is still valid. This one's taken from the low of the 3rd of October. On the other hand, we have a 200-day EMA, and we have a pair which is oscillating around that 200-day EMA. So if you're looking for some higher levels, guys, I mean, I think that this is the point where you'll just have to wait for a clear breakout here, maybe somewhere above this territory, or actually maybe around this 0.6020. So if we do move above it, then yes, I'll go to the upside towards the 0.6110. For the downside, look, again, if you're looking for some lower levels in the short run, maybe this option could be useful. The low of this week, the current lowest point of this week, near the 0.5946, and as we drop below it, may lead to a test of this upside line. Here's the CAD, something that we are going to be keeping an eye on today as well, because we have some Canadian numbers coming out as well. So manufacturing sales number, the month-on-month, which is coming out from Canada, and of course crude oil inventories as well, so which affects the Canadian dollar. So but look, at the moment, what we saw yesterday was the drop below this 1.3571. So look, what I was talking about yesterday, I said that if we drop below this hurdle, I'll go a little bit lower. I'll go towards the upside support line taken from the low of the 16th of November. At the moment, I am still aiming for that. If the circumstances remain kind of the same as right now, normal, standard. But again, given that we don't have a normal day today, so we might have some activity, some bouncing around here. And don't be surprised, for example, if we do eventually break this upside line. If we do that, then yes, I will go lower. And I think that this level has to be adjusted, no longer needed. I think it's better to mark yesterday's low near the 1.3522. If we clear that, then yes, I will go to the downside. For the upside, it's pretty straightforward. I need to see a push up of the 1.3685 level. USDCHF, so there we go. We've managed to break the lower side of the falling wedge, and there we go. This is what I said to you before. I said that, hey, maybe it's a falling wedge, but maybe it's just a bearish pennant. Where we have a pole here to the downside, we have this pennant forming, and yeah, we broke the lower side of it, so this kind of indicates that further declines are possible. So far, as long as it stays below this 0.9287 territory, somewhere around here, if it continues to trade below it, yes, I will aim for that 0.9195 and then so on and so on. For the upside, this is where I think we can ignore this downside line for now. And we can simplify our lives a little bit here by, for example, drawing this way, this downside line. And if we break it, great, we could go higher. We could go a little bit more north towards the downside line, taken from the high of the 21st of November, where we could test the 21-day EMA here as well, and so on and so on. But at this point, look, I'm leaning more towards the downside as long as we stay below the 0.9267 territory. GBP USD, so there we go, guys. So pushed nicely to the upside yesterday. We tested the upper side of the rising veg here, and we held. It got held here within the pattern. So that makes me happy, of course, because I'm still kind of hoping to see this one eventually maybe breaking to the downside at some point. But as I said before, although I'm considering this scenario, look, maybe it might take a while until we can get something like a break here, but as long as it stays within the pattern, it could still drift higher. Other thing that we can draw here is something like this. So basically it's like a rising veg within a rising veg, and if that's the case, then certainly yes, this could end up breaking to the downside towards the lower side of the bigger rising veg. Yeah, I mean, it's complicated, but hey, this could be an interesting one. However, for the upside, now this is where I need to adjust my levels a little bit here. So the 1.2444 is something to watch here, and if we do if we do pop above this, then I'll ignore all the veggies and I'll just aim for the upside. GBP NZD, just a quick update. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because look, I mean, it's still coiling up here nicely. Look, I mean, it's forming this descending triangle, and we were waiting for that drop below the 1.91 territory, and well, we sometimes get it, but we drift back above it. However, we're struggling with the downside line here, taken from the high of the 17th of October, which we're struggling to break. Or should I say, sorry, we're not struggling to break, we're struggling to stay above it. And, well, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting myself because, look, I mean, this is very, very nice. But can we get that breakout? I don't care. In any way, in any direction, just give us a clear indication of what it wants to do further. Hopefully, it can do that today, because also in terms of economic data, today we have the New Zealand GDP numbers coming out very late tonight, European time. Again, it will be Asian session already, I think, it will be the beginning, before the Asian session in before, just kind of, I think it will be a little bit before the Asian session. So we have the New Zealand numbers coming out. So yeah. Could be an interesting one, could be a good one here, and let's wait and see. We'll see which way this is gonna break out to. GBP CAD. Now this one's we're waiting for a possible maybe like indication of a reversal here, a move to the downside. However, we're not getting that yet. So look, in order to go lower, ideally, again, a drop below this 1.6717 area is required. That's the that's the area here of resistance, which I've previously looked at. Good area of resistance. Now it could be seen as support. So if we fall below it, then yes, I will consider a larger correction here to the downside. But at the moment, it's a bit of a difficult one here. I mean, there is still potential for some upside, where we could end up testing this other key resistance area near the 1.6922 and the 1.6950. So keep that in mind. EURUSD. And again, similar story. We are watching this one, and we were hoping maybe to see a bit of a retracement here. But as I said yesterday to you, look, there is still potential for this one to move higher. And as long as we stay below the 1.4373, I will then consider a move lower. However, we got a pop here, and well, on yesterday's news, so we moved higher, but we're still below this 1.4462. In order to go higher, I need to see a pop above this barrier. Euro NZD, similar story as with the GBP NZD. Basically, we're also waiting for some, some news from New Zealand, GDP numbers. But in general, from the technical perspective, look, we're still within the falling channel and could still continue sliding. But at this point, I would like to see a drop below the 1.6415 in order to go lower. For the upside, I would like to see a break of this upper side of the falling channel in order to go higher. Simple as that. Euro against the Mexican peso. If you remember, guys, this pair about 2-3 weeks ago, I was talking about this one, and well, actually, yeah, something like around 2 weeks, I think, ago, I was talking about this, and I was talking about this little range here. Then we broke it to the downside. We kind of got a brief visit below it, and then I think it was the moment to clean up all the all the buyers from here, because a lot of buyers probably had their stop losses around here. This is what the market does, just kind of FYI. I mean, you probably know that. So it was a clear indication that it took out a lot of buyers, and it reversed back to the upside. And look at this. And then I said that if we pop above this 20.22 territory, I'll go higher towards the 200-day EMA. Mission accomplished. Great. What's next? Well, I think that next now is going to be determining that this is an upside line, and we will continue trading above it. So any kind of move, any throwback here could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. But if you're looking for some upside, just for more guarantees, maybe, or actually, sorry. The bad word here is the guarantees. There's no guarantees in general in anything in the market. So, but let's say to get a little bit more excited with the upside, a push above this 21.03 territory could be a good option. We could see, a move higher here, a push above this barrier would confirm a forthcoming higher high and may attract a few more buyers, where we could then target the this little area around here, the 21.17, or we could end up maybe traveling towards that 21.76 territory right here. That's in terms of the upside. Of course, we could see a bit of a retracement here. However, I think that I will take a very conservative approach here for the downside, and I'll wait for a drop below this little territory here, below the 20.22, and then because at the same time we would fall below the upside line. Euro against the South African Rand, guys. I wanted to pick up on this one because look, it's quite interesting. We had a nice move here back on the 1st of December. We are now kind of forming something of a kind of a triangle, something like an ascending, or actually not a very ascending triangle, just a triangle, I would say, on a from the short-term perspective. So something like this doesn't look very attractive, but hey, we do get we are getting the South African CPI numbers in less than half an hour. So keep that in mind. Let's see if we can, we can see some activity here, and this could be quite interesting. So be careful, of course. At the same time, wait for a clear pop. This is what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be waiting for a clear breakout, and of course, I'm going to be adjusting my stop loss accordingly. In order, let's say, if suddenly it goes against me, it could, I would protect myself. That's kind of the most important thing all the time. To protect yourself. Don't go into a trade thinking how you can, how you will make money. Just go into a trade thinking how you can quickly get out of it. And finally, EURUSD, something that we will be watching here today. And look, I would say it violated the upper side of the rising channel. However, the rising channel is not an ideal one here, because maybe it's something like this. I mean, I'm trying to draw this. This is not ideal, of course. I think I'll try to put it this way, maybe here. Let me just see if it's gonna work. No, look, I mean, okay. I think I need to redraw this again. I think I need to put this in a different shape. But anyway, I think you already got my idea here. Basically, it seems like yes, we have a rising channel, but is it actually this one, or is it actually that one? So if this is the case, then we've reached the upper side, and we reached the upper side of it, so we might stick around inside this pattern for a while. Look, if we clearly break this one right now, I think that's it. That's enough for me with the rising channels, and I think that, yeah, I'm just going to aim for the 1.0787 because that's, in general, that's my target, and then I'm just going to go from there. But at this point, I'm just going to, okay, I'm going to give it another shot here. If this has been the upper side of the rising channel, if we did hit that upper side of the rising channel, then maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible. So yeah, if we can push through this barrier, through this 1.0673, then yes, I will go to the upside. If we fall below the 1.0595, then I will consider maybe a bit of a retracement here back down towards the lower side of the rising channel, guys. So guys, that's it for this session. I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your views, your likes, your comments, everything. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope you found it useful. I tried to make it useful, so thank you very much, guys, for sparing your time to watch this video. If you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 7 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.